Welcome to a special edition of Entrepreneurs and Fuego. And I don't know whether it's, I say a special edition all the time, but this one is really a special edition. We're documenting your journey, one digital footprint at a time. And with me, I have the distinct pleasure to have Mr. John Bronson, my man.
Hey, how you doing?
All right.
Thanks for letting me be on the show.
Former Arizona Cardinal,
Yeah.
Penn State standout.
Yep.
My main man.
You got it. Yeah.
But now you're kind of a renaissance man also, because you do all sorts of things. You do real estate.
Yeah.
You have this great organization called PACC.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what else do you do, man?
Well, my number one focus is, especially as of late, has been PACC, and we're making a lot of great moves lately and growing like rapidly. So.
And PACC is the professional.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's we changed it. It's no longer the Chamber of Commerce, but PACC Pro Network actually.
Okay.
So you heard it first. This is the new. This is
Wait
the new name going 2016. PACC Pro Network. So.
So what does PACC Pro Network do?
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk a little bit about your journey, but I want to know exactly what you're doing right now, because it's really cool stuff, particularly for people out there here in Phoenix that want to interact with what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So what PACC Pro Network is, it's a network and a resource hub, and our objective is to connect business pro athletes with vetted business professionals and vice versa for networking, strategic partnerships, career education opportunities. So our job is to basically be a warehouse, a stadium, so to speak, and house the right business experts in this hub, matched with athletes that are either looking for certain elements or looking for a new career, maybe looking to start business or information, just quite frankly looking for information for their next level to transition out of sport.
So this benefits the athlete who may not be sure where to go after his or her career is done and over with?
Absolutely. That is where the idea came from, was simply that there wasn't an outlet for athletes to go into.
Yeah, what do they do? I mean, your lifespan, it's very short.
Absolutely.
28, 29 years old, maybe 30 years old, you're done.
You're done.
You're done.
As you alluded to, you have a whole life ahead. So it was important to have a place where athletes can go and gain information, and there wasn't that resource. So our job at PACC is to be the resource on a very wide scale, nationally, internationally, where you think resources, you think PACC. And as a pro athlete, current or former, that's what we're on mission to do.
So you're kind of the afterlife of the professional athlete.
We're the afterlife, and we like to be more inserted while an athlete is still current, so they can transition. The transition can be faster. So, one of the big things that is tough is when athletes transition. There's usually about a 2 to 5 year window where you go into this, I call the gray area, and it's tough. I mean, I've went through it. I mean, a lot of athletes went through it, and you're just trying to.
What is that gray area?
Gray area is a time where you're trying to find yourself, find an identity, the next step. You've spent a lifetime playing sport, whether it's football at the age of 6 all the way through your 28, 29, 30, whatever. And then when you're done, you have to transition to something out of sport. It's one of the only professions that when you are completely done with sport, you cannot go back to. You can't.
Unless you're George Foreman.
Unless you're George Foreman, exactly. Yeah. Even with him, he went into George Foreman grills and things like that. So he eventually had to transition outside of sport, right?
Exactly.
And so with that, it makes it very tough for athletes to make the step unless you have enough information and enough insight to go into something else, not unrelated. So
did you, as an athlete, John, when you were playing for the Cardinals, did you ever think, all right, I'm going to think about my afterlife, or were you so concentrated and focused on the now? Or I'm going to beat up this next team next Sunday, that you didn't really think about these things that, from a financial planner perspective, they're always talking about, we're going to plan your future.
Yeah.
Did you think about that at all, or no?
I did about 25%. Now, in hindsight, I would have done it maybe 50 or 60%, more. At least a lot more as far as percentage wise. So I did, but reason why I did is because I was always on the cutting bubble anyway. So I was a rookie free agent in the team, and so I'm always a day away from being being on the street in relation, in football talk. And so I always had to think about, all right, well, if I'm not here tomorrow, what am I going to do? So I at least started an information process. Now, did I know exactly like, oh, I want to do this? No, I knew I for sure didn't want to work for anybody, so that was for sure off the table. So that made it easy for me to go and figure something else out. But I did not know exactly like, all right, when I'm done football, I'm going to do this. No, I didn't know that.
And I would imagine that's probably what the majority.
That's a majority, yeah, absolutely. And so, as we continue these methods, our job is to hopefully condense that time frame. So athletes that are still playing, they're current or they're, even if they're winding down, if they think they're winding down, to at least think about a franchise or if you haven't finished school, going back to school, or if you're not very entrepreneurial, maybe you just want to, go get a great job with a real estate company or mortgage or whatever. I mean, so there's just so many different things, but what it comes down to is just really understanding and identifying what you want to do. And after that, it makes it easier to kind of cycle into something that can fit for you. Because you're talking about athletes with a brand, so they can basically knock on a lot of doors that most people can't. So,
In your career, you faced a lot of challenges, and in fact, I would imagine that being a professional athlete, it's a daily challenge because, like you were saying, you had this in the back of your mind. You're at the bubble. You're in the kind of, if I don't perform, it's not like on 3 months. If I don't perform next Sunday, I might be done. Take me to September 11th, 2005.
Sure.
How hard was that day?
Yeah, well...
And tell people what that day was.
Aside from the fact it was September 11th. Let's get the hell out of the room.
Right.
In New York.
Yep.
Which is another factor. It was a very, obviously, unfortunate, monumental day because of what happened 4 years earlier.
Right.
So you take that, but at this point, it started off as a great day for me. I just obviously a few weeks earlier made the team, and I'm on cloud 9 right now, seeing more dollars than I ever saw in my life. And so so going into the game, I had a role to play, and I was. And that role was defined very clearly into me being a very big special teams guru. That was basically my ordeal. I was good at 275 pounds, 6'3", and a goal. My job was to literally run through walls. That was my job. Run through human beings like a missile, and that was my job. So, and I did it well. But on one of those plays, I never forget it. There was this crossing route. Actually, one of my friends, Adam Berge, he lives here too. There was this crossing route. We were both on kickoff return. There was another guy. And I can see the guy I was supposed to slide up. So I'm waiting. I'm just like amped at this point. I'm getting chills going through it. And first of all, let me put my disclaimer. I'm like a different person in football than I am in business. So it's,
of course. Yeah, got you.
You probably wouldn't even know me. But who is this guy?
Well, you go to another rarefied world.
It's a complete different alter ego. Like I'm probably near insane like in football times. But so anyway, so I go and I come around this crossing route, and my job would just light up. They call them the R4, and I come in and I just light him up completely, like just I would keep it PG-13, but just light him up. But the downside is that I came up with the one with and ended up tearing my left knee completely. I didn't think it was tear or anything like that. It's done. I'll be done a couple of days. So I still stayed out, and I had to go back. When I came out, I went back on offense because this was actually a surprise to me. I was starting getting reps on offense, which is cool because I was playing Kurt Warner and obviously Larry and a bunch of other great guys. So I started getting reps and on offense, and then eventually I just couldn't go. I went back out for a couple more series and I couldn't go. But the tell of the tape was a quarter before that happened. This I think might happen in the third quarter. So quarter before, I'm sorry, mine was second quarter, and the another injury happened in the fourth quarter by a guy named James Hodgson. He was the fullback. He was starting fullback. He had been hurt since St. Louis days, and he was big fullback.
Yep.
He ended up tearing his ACL fourth quarter. So here we go. You got two. Basically, I played fullback and tight end. You have another fullback, and he ended up tearing his ACL. Same game. So after the game, Dennis Green, who was our coach then, he goes, "Hey, how you doing?" I go, "Oh, I'm good." He's like, "You gonna be healthy for next week?" I go, "Yeah, I'll be healthy." In my mind, I was like, "I'm not gonna be healthy." He's like, "Well, good, because you're a starting fullback next week." And I go, "Yeah, thanks." And that was it as far as IR. And I went and going IR that season, and luckily for IR, the checks still do come in, so I didn't get kicked out to the curb. and then came around next year, and then the following year after that, I just kind of went through preseason and didn't make that squad, but
mentally.
Yeah.
How did you do? Because that's a life-changing event.
It's a life-changing.
It changed your event.
Yeah.
You started the day off. I'm going to do this. You're going through your mental exercises, your mental routine, and everything else, and just like that, it changed your life. Mm-hmm. How did you deal with that?
You actually don't really have time to not just be on your game. So even after going through that, I'm thinking, all right, well, let's get the rehab going. We're a long trip back on a plane. My legs basically, shattered completely, and next step. Let's go to the next step. And so mentally, you just got to stay in it. You really can't waver from it. You don't have a lot of time to get down. And that's what I did. Every day I worked hard in rehab, worked my way back. I was probably working more harder than any. I would say literally harder than anybody. I was still at practices and learning stuff because I'm coming back, and I did come back.
Right. Is that the best lesson, or one of the best lessons you learned in your personal life, your professional life, actually, as a professional athlete? Yeah. That you translate to business now?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to be persistent. I mean, you cannot take a back seat. That's for sure. You can't. I mean, things are always, they're going to go up and down. They're going to go up and down. It's the way life works, the way business works, the way sports works. Yeah. You name it. There's nothing that's going to be just like here, or
nice
here.
And smooth.
It's not how it goes. But the ones who go through and they work as hard as they can. They when the tough gets hard, they turn it on even more, and that's what the most important ordeal is. Is just that you got to be persistent in everything you do. You got to know, all right, well, look, if there's this hurdle that comes up, hey, I'm gonna beat it. I'm gonna beat it, and I'm gonna keep pushing, and before you know it, that hurdle's already gone, and you're onto something else, and then just keep knocking them down. That's all I would say. Just keep knocking the hurdles down and being as positive as possible about every situation that you go into.
John Bronson, my main man. Man, I mean, this story really fascinates me because to be in that, that time where you were with that frame of mind, and again with your alter ego, and having gone through that seemingly devastating event, to climb all the way out there and be who you are right now, it's truly a lesson of persistence, of resilience, of never giving up.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And that's the message that I try to live by, and I would say to anybody that's listening or looking, always thinking that things are hard. Yeah, things are not gonna always be easy, but it's gotta keep the pedal in the metal.
Cool. Hey, so. You worked out and you played for great coaches all the time. Yeah. What's the best advice you received that you remember that stands out?
Yeah. Never get complacent. It's that simple. And also basically, if you're going to, it's a whole story, but the whole lining to it is, whatever you do, give it all you got, and that's basically it.
Don't do shit half-assed.
Don't do it half-assed.
Don't do it half-assed.
Give it all you got, everything you have, Even if it's football, it's funny because in sport, the coaches say, even if you're gonna mess up 100%.
Yeah, I like that.
We're gonna run the wrong route. Might as well run it 100%. And, never know.
I think that's a great lesson for entrepreneurs. If you're gonna mess up, just go.
Just do it 100%.
Just do 100%. Just don't do it half-assed.
Absolutely.
Hey, man, we give you just a small little T-shirt,
awesome.
buddy.
Yeah,
We're gonna get your right size,
No,
man.
don't worry about it. No, I
2XL and everything else, but at least it's because we think that this speaks a lot about what entrepreneurs are all about and what you're all about, which the virtues of simplicity, discipline, humility, kindness, and honesty. And if you do those things, you'll get a little peaceful soul. And that's part of what we do, man.
I appreciate
John,
it.
you're my man, man.
Absolutely.
It's just your stories. I would have like goosebumps, man, because it's like I'm waiting for what happens next. What happens next, man? So anyway, John Bronson, you're a member here of the Office Pile and PACC. We wish you a lot of success, and I appreciate your lessons, man. Your lessons that you're giving us today here, man, in this interview.
Well, thank you
very
very much
humble,
for
man,
having
and
me on the show.
I'm like, I'm not giving up, man.
Now I can't.
Damn straight, man. So with that, we're out, baby.